Hey, the championship is secured. And I ain't here to brag, I ain't here to celebrate, but I'm here to show you how you can get a championship in your league. Here to break it down. Because at this point, it ain't about luck, it's about execution. Y'all step into my office so I can show y'all how to get a dub. Numbers over narratives.
And cherry cracker beats.
Hey, whoa, what's going on? Welcome back to the Hustler Sports Fantasy Podcast. Welcome back to the Hustlers. Hey, it's your boy T Will. I got my dog Lighted with me. You know what I'm saying? I ended up playing him in the championship. So, I had to bring him on here to recap the playoffs, how it went, how different it is from the season. You know what I'm saying? We're going to recap the season, give y'all some lessons that y'all can use, get y'all some dubs going forward next season. You know what I'm saying? The grind never stopped. Y'all already know we here to get a dub. So you already know how it go down. Like I say, championship secured on my end though. So hey, look, Lighted, hey, I appreciate you giving me that first one. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't luck. It came down to decisions on both sides. I wanted to holler at you though. How you doing?
I'm straight. I'm here humbly in defeat. First of all, got to give a shout out to you because you got that win and you deserved it.
Hey, I appreciate you. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But hey, getting to the championship ain't easy either. So, you know what I'm saying? It's lessons that could be learned wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, we here to get a dub. We can learn from wherever. Getting to the chip, winning the chip, getting knocked out in the playoffs, it don't matter. So instead of celebrating, we're here to break down the matchup, give y'all perspectives, give y'all what worked, what didn't. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Starting off, I wanted to get into, the draft. When you came into the season, what was on your mind?
Well, clearly, I didn't have an approach. I mean, I went Carl Anthony Towns in the first round. He clearly ain't a first round pick. And he don't prove that this season. Then I followed it with LeBron. LeBron put up numbers. I could have probably got him later on in the draft, got somebody a little better in the second round. Looking back on the draft, I drafted Anthony Simons, Demarcus or D'Angelo Russell, and even Buddy Hield with my last pick. And as the season progressed, you see how many more players you could have got in the draft instead of wasting them on picks like I did. So
But I will say, I mean, to me, this draft don't look, it ain't work. It ain't terrible to me. I feel like to say because we had 12 teams, you drafted from the 12th spot, so you starting off with Cat and LeBron. I don't know. Maybe high on Cat, LeBron, Jamal Murray. The fact that you got Denny in the sixth round, to me,
uh,
I ain't gonna lie, that was crazy. Like it was no way he should have slid that far. So
the
for you
fact
to
that I
grab that
drafted
in was a
Miles,
great scoop.
the fact that I drafted Miles Turner before Denny don't make no sense.
And was still able to double back and get Denny. That's hey, we was sleep, son. We was sleep like a mug. That's crazy. But nah, I'm looking though, like, so like when you say you didn't really have an approach, you just were taking best available
Nah, I was going off the names I knew, honestly. I
names
mean,
you
I
knew. Okay.
uh, always been a LeBron fan since '03. Looking back on, I mean, I followed the Nuggets pretty hard. DeRozan, a household name. I knew Miles Turner played, as a big. He was gonna put up points. Danny, I just lucked into watching him a little bit early in the season because I mean, I think our draft was a couple weeks after the season started.
Yeah, we was 2 weeks behind.
Yeah, he was putting up numbers in the first half of the season, so I lucked into him, and then lucked up into Khalil Ware as well. Had to get a Miami Heat player on the roster.
Yeah. Down on your ESPN recap. Khalil Ware was like your sneaky pick. What you got him in the 10th?
Hmm.
Nah, nah, that was a great scoop in the 10th too. So, recapping, you really was just looking for names that you knew, people you could trust.
People I was comfortable with. Yep.
I ain't gonna lie, you was breaking up a bit. I ain't hear you.
Oh, nah, yeah, I was just going with names I was comfortable with. I mean, I ain't really do research before the draft, see who was trending, who wasn't. I just was going with what I knew. Prime
Yeah.
example would be Buddy Hill. I mean, I don't know why I drafted Buddy.
But he was in that but he was in that Kaminga trade.
Yeah,
He's
I mean, yeah, he started the
yeah.
season with Gold State.
Right, right. That ain't crazy. At the last pick, I ain't gonna lie, that ain't crazy. I mean, at that point, you really just throwing darts anyway. That's probably a streamer guy anyway. So, that was your mindset going over people that what I'm saying you knew, you know, what like do you feel like it was a point that came where you had to pivot faster than you really wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, I had the 12th pick, which mean I had the next pick in the next round. So I really didn't have time to plan out that second pick. I mean, I had time, in between those picks, but once it was my turn to pick, I had to double right back and be on the clock. So I mean, that wasn't easy. I feel like I might have rushed a couple of picks just to get off, before the timer went off. So I
Yeah. Go ahead.
no, I was saying that 12 pick, I mean, it's nice to have that pick back to back, but it don't give you much time to strategize.
So you went with names you knew. You know what? It's I so that right there proves there's no one way to win a chip. You just gotta be on it. You gotta be locked in. You know what I'm saying? You went with names you knew, Carl Anthony, and then it's crazy. We ended up doing a trade for Chet and Carl Anthony Towns. And to me, like I said, up until All Star break, I felt like that trade was a wash. I think Cap maybe separated himself towards the end, but for the fact that you made a trade like that, you maneuvered on the waiver wire. That show you right there. It don't matter how you start off; it matter how what you decide to do over the course of the season. It matters what you do on the waiver wire. For me, I ain't gonna lie. When it came into the draft, I wanted people that got multiple categories. Like if you can give me 20 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, like that's the guy I wanted over the big scorer, personally. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like fantasy reward people who stuff the sheet. So I feel like that's who I really wanted to rock with. So to hear your strategy, kudos to you to even, what I'm saying, to manage your way to a chip like that, to an appearance for sure. Like that's hard to do. That's hard to do. So, so after the draft, you got into the season. You started off strong. What you started off with? 8-0, 8-1.
Yeah, ain't no, I think.
So 8-0. Did you feel like you had to shift off of your strategy based on your squad?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I had to shift to more seeing who was hot, who was not, who was getting minutes, who was staying healthy. You only get one IR spot, so you got to manage it well. So, I mean, what I would go off of is just who was hot at the moment. And I would always give them 2 games. That's what was my rule was. I'll give you 2 games. If you ain't producing in 2 games, you gotta go. So I wasn't besides my main guys that I held on to the whole season, I mean, I was letting them go quick. I mean, you can see from the draft to where I ended, I only got 6, maybe 7 guys on the team that lasted the whole year.
Yeah, I see 7.
Yeah.
Suggs. Oh, probably 8. Suggs, Ware, Garland. Denny, DeMar, Murray, LeBron, and then like I say, oh, that's well, yeah, you traded Cat. So what was
Uh,
that, 7?
yeah, so
Oh. So did you have another approach outside of who was hot? Like, did you look at anything else when it came to the waivers or who you were streaming?
yeah, what I would do is I'll go back to their previous games, see how they're performing. Um, Looking at the scores, fantasy scores mainly. Later on, I learned check the points and the field goal percentage, 3 points made, rebounds, assists. Once I got in further into the season, I learned how to look past the names and look past how many points a game they was getting because points per game don't always equal how many fantasy points they get.
That's a great point. That's a great point because I mean, you could be a bucket in real life, but in fantasy, if you just a bucket, it ain't that it ain't good, but it ain't as valuable if somebody doing something else. Yeah,
I
nah,
mean, I mean, my boy Bam scored 83 points in the game, and I think his fantasy total for that game was 108. I'm like, how does that even make sense? Until I looked at the breakdown.
when you look at Jokic and Luca, they done had a
Uh,
multiple 100-point games. Wimby
mhm.
probably got. I feel like he got one. You know what I mean? Yeah, and he only had 100 with 83. So that show you right there. I mean, buckets is good, but they ain't the tell all. They ain't the end all be all. For me, I like to stream. Like I feel like I like to keep a core intact. Like if I got like 7 guys, that's my like I'm not moving them. Cool with that. If I can stream the rest, I wanted to be closer to 9. Well, because we could play 10. I wanted to be closer to like 8, 9. And if I stream 1 or 2 spots, I'm cool. But for me, every move, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like every move it gotta be decisive. You gotta have a purpose for it. Like you can't just be doing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't hold on to guys too long. Like I said, if they showing they not, you know, producing for you, got to be willing to let them go sometimes. And I feel like that's a lesson I learned that I'm gonna carry in the next season.
That's what you learn to carry in the next season.
Yeah, just one of the things I learned to carry in the next season. Don't hold on to a player too long just because you might like him on the court.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. So that's a good segue because you said that's one thing. Don't just go by players you like. What's something else you learn over the course of this season that you're gonna take in the next season?
Don't get it. I mean, once again, don't get too attached. Don't go for the big names. I mean, you're gonna need one thing. You're gonna need is a superstar. Probably gonna need two at least. And I mean, there's probably 20 guys out there right now that could get you 40, 50 fantasy points a game.
Yeah,
So you're gonna have to build your roster starting from first pick or first round, second round draft, and then from there build with solid role players that you know are gonna be consistent. Um, so my main takeaway from this season going into next season would be focus on building a team and focus on building a roster that you're comfortable with.
yeah. Now I feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? Comfortability. Like that's I don't know. Like that's everything to me, especially like I ain't gonna lie, it broke my heart when I had to drop Quentin Grimes. And you ended up grabbing him too in the same
Snatched them
league.
up.
Yo, I hated to drop him, but he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Like, yeah, I like that comfortability. You gotta know what your roster could do. But you
Uh,
always gotta look for areas to improve as well though.
I had that same situation in the semifinals. I hated to drop Najee Marshall. My opponent picked him up. As soon as I dropped him, and Najee was averaging 40 the rest of the week, fantasy points.
Yeah. See, I was gonna bring him up too. Like, hey, I know you were saying he was up and I know we talked offline. You say he was up and down, but He more up than down though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, we needed Nas, dog. We needed.
Yeah, yeah, especially with that Cooper Flag, and that's also what I looked at too. Which I'm gonna carry in the next season. If you got someone like Ant go out, you could pick up McDaniel's or a Nas Reed. That's just first example to pop in mind. Or just looking at the injury report and picking up who may step up in their absence.
That's a good point because it opened up a move too because they can go to the IR. So they you lost. You might have lost 50, but if you can get 30, that could lead to a dub.
Speaking of the IR, don't be afraid to use it. If you know a guy just out because of illness, he out today, move him to the IR because then you saving that acquisition or the matchup pickup for later on in the week. So I learned that late in the season, which I probably waited too late. If a guy only out for a game, still move him to the IR spot. It opens up a roster spot without having to pick up anybody from the waiver wire.
Mm, it's a good point. It's a good point. Hey, you gotta max out them matchup acquisitions. I live for that. Like to me, that's how I got a lot of dubs, honestly. Like I know y'all, you had a crazy record and you started off really strong. Well, you was holding the whole year though, honestly. You know what I'm saying? What you finished 14-3?
Hmm.
Yeah, so you was holding the whole year. So you was one of the tougher opponents. But I feel like that's what keep you competitive. Like you don't have, if you ain't had a crazy draft that you in love with, something that you just, super excited about, you gotta max out the matchup acquisitions. Cause I promise you, them 7 moves in a week, and then, for All-Star week, because how the games broke up, you get 8. So, that could be the difference between, being well 19 games, being 6-13 as opposed to being, 10-9 fighting for a playoff spot. So make sure y'all maxing out the matchup acquisitions. Don't play with that. Leave a spot for streaming. That's what it's for. IR, use it. It'll help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go and get into this matchup though. You know what I'm saying? I know you really don't want to talk about it, you know what I'm saying, but I definitely appreciate you coming on. Want to break it down to help the hustlers out there to, possibly get a dub, you know what I'm saying? Because we can learn from everybody. I can, you know what I'm saying? Like we all here to get a dub, so we all can learn. So let's break down this championship matchup. What was you thinking about going into that week?
Going into the week, I looked ahead, which I mean I do often. So on Sundays, I'll go all the way Sunday through Saturday, seeing who's slotted for each day. What I noticed is my main guys was all going on the same day. I think 3 or 4 days out the week, and so I felt like I had a shot staying with my roster the way it was. I mean, I added Mikael Bridges right
Yeah.
before the championship week started, but other than that, I felt like out of them 3 or 4 days, I was going to put up enough points to stay at least competitive and stay in the running. Just because I had all them guys on the same day, and I mean, Jamal Murray was on fire at that point, so I already knew he was going to carry the team like he did the whole season. And I guess I must have felt too comfortable with the roster I had.
I ain't gonna lie, that Mikael Bridges scoop though, like that was a great one because I stared at him so long, but I knew if I grabbed him, I was never gonna drop, and I didn't want to
Mm.
be. I wanted to keep a spot open. Um, nah, I ain't gonna lie. You was definitely a formidable opponent. You know what I'm saying? I shared the score on the championship episode from Wednesday. I only won by 100, so it wasn't like it was just crazy. Like so, you kept the roster the same. You know, I know for me, like I say, I'm big on matchup acquisition. So that's really how I went into that matchup, trying to break it down. Saying because before it even started, I looked at the schedule and I saw that you had a schedule advantage towards the back of the week. So from like Thursday to Sunday, I think like 3 out of 4 days you had more people playing than I did. So
Yeah, I want to say Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I had the whole team playing. All 10 players slotted.
right. Yeah, and Sunday is the big one though, because I ain't gonna lie. When I saw that, I just knew you probably was gonna get the dub. But what I think ended up helping me is Saturday. I think I had like 4 people playing. You had like 3.
Yeah,
But you had so many people playing on Sunday, you really couldn't drop nobody to really make a move Saturday.
yeah, and that's what hurt. That ended up hurting me in the long run because that was my thinking. I'm like, I could go ahead and try to go for the kill shot Saturday, but I'm like, everybody playing Sunday. I was like, the only person I could have dropped was LeBron, but LeBron I couldn't drop because I drafted him second in the league. So
I ain't gonna lie, I would have dropped Run.
no, I think it was locked if I ain't mistaken, because ain't like your top 2 picks, you can't drop them.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. You
Yeah.
can't drop them. Yeah, so that's tough. That's tough. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that helped me. Like I feel like you was kind of in a position to where if you dropped them, like the people you was dropping them for wasn't gonna do what they was gonna do. And then you would have to find back to backs, which that was kind of hard that week too. So nah, I ain't gonna lie, it was crazy. I ain't gonna hold you. I was nervous though, because I was down going into Friday, I believe, or Thursday at least. You know what I'm saying? So uh if there's anything you could do differently, not just championship related, just over the course of the season, what would it be?
I mean, it ties into championship week. I held on to certain players longer than I should have. So I mean, anything I would have done different, which we talked about it previously on the last podcast I was on, DeMar DeRozan, which it hurt me because I want to say either championship week or the week before he went out there and dropped 60 fantasy points. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Here we go. He ready, came
Yeah.
back with 11, 15. Then he decided not to play championship Sunday. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like I said previously, holding on to players too long probably was my biggest downfall.
But DeRozan was one of the frustrating ones though, because like you say, he'll have a game with 60 and you see that 60. And you're like, bro, I can't drop this dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, that's what helped me keep Aiden as long, over the course of the season. Honestly, he'll have a game where he just go flat out nuclear. You know what I mean? And then he come back 9, 8 fantasy points.
Same thing with Khalil Ware. And the thing that hurt me with Khalil Ware is I'm sitting there watching the games live and I'm seeing him either not getting minutes because Spo will play him 5, 6 minutes a game. He won't see him for the rest of the game. Or when he was out there, he was looking lost. He wasn't involved in the offense. His defense was lacking. And I'm seeing this with my own eyes, but I'm like, I can't drop him at this point. He done got me here, so I can't drop him.
And that's what like I feel like that's why his career looked the way it does. But I do feel like fantasy wise, it was a great school because when he do go crazy, he gonna you know what I'm saying, he gonna go crazy.
Yeah, I agree because he got the talent. Talent's there. And like you said,
Yeah,
fantasy, I want to say he was averaging close to 30, if not 30. He was in the 20s for sure.
yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, he a good late round pickup.
He started the season off crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I mentioned him on one of them early episodes, but you had already you drafted him. But yeah, nah, he was hooping. He was hooping. So I don't know though. I hope he get opportunity though. He seemed like he got, at least that Tyson Chandler type role in his, what I'm saying, this future for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he got the upside. It's
Yeah.
just he got to get out of his own way. It seemed like
Yeah. Hey, don't we all? So what you hey, so so what do you think was the biggest moves that decided the championship matchup though?
Tyrese Maxey. I ain't gonna lie, that hurt. I'm not gonna lie, that probably hurt the worst. Cause I'm like, I'm expecting him to be out to the playoffs. That you, oh yeah, I'm glad you ain't snatch up Max. And I'm like, Maxie back, and he was like, yeah, he, game time decision on Saturday. And I'm like, of course he is. When I only got three guys going, so I'm hoping he got Russ. Boy came out and dropped what 60. I'm like, yeah, it's a wrap. I knew Saturday was a wrap.
Yo, yo, hey, it's so funny, son. When I saw the news, I was just waiting till 8:30. And what's crazy is I ain't even have to wait till 8:30 because the first game had started.
Yeah,
But yo, I was praying you ain't go grab him, son.
I wasn't even checking for him because he was supposed to be out
He
till
was supposed to be
now.
out. Yo, till now. Exactly. I ain't know he was coming back either. I just happened to be scrolling on Twitter or X now. And the boys, the underdog, say he was a game time decision. I'm like, what? That's crazy. That was like 5 days early. He had like a finger fracture or something.
Broken bone in his finger, something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Nah, I ain't gonna lie. That probably was the move for me too. I ain't gonna hold you. I think it came through right when I needed it. Like, cause like I said, I was down late in the week in that matchup. So that Maxi scoop I needed that one.
But I mean, as far as my team, going with Herb Jones for I think the first 2 days, 3 days of the matchup, and him dropping like 40 fantasy, 30 fantasy the next night, I felt like I'm like, okay, I got a chance. And then I doubled back later on in the week with Jalen Williams once I realized Chet was out. He came out with 45. I'm like, all right, I got this. It's so Saturday. Saturday is what it really came down to.
Nah, I ain't. Yeah, them great moves too. Cause I looked at J Dub and for whatever reason just didn't hit the button. Cause I ain't, I wasn't hearing nothing about when he was coming back. So that was a great scoop. That was a great scoop. So over the course of instead, let's look long term over the course of the season. What was the biggest move or moment that decided your season?
I mean, I drafted him, so I wouldn't say it was, the biggest move I made, but Darius Garland coming back from injury really helped me out with my roster because I mean, we joked about it before. I was full of nothing but small forward, power forwards. I really ain't had no guards on the team besides Jamal Murray, and I was streaming really the rest of them. And Jalen Suggs played like once a week, it seemed like. So for guards with Darius Garland coming back, and I mean, he immediately produced when he came out the IR. So
Mhm. Yeah, I figured that Clippers trade was gonna be good for him though. Yeah, nah, that was yeah, that definitely propelled you for sure. That's actually what helped you keep the buy.
yeah, it got me to buy. It was Darius Garland.
Yeah, yeah, Garland definitely got you to buy. That's for sure, for sure. Nah, I like that. All right, so what's one move you would change? And we're gonna go season first, and then we'll go to the championship matchup.
Season, I'll probably say going back to the draft, you got to get a superstar in the first round or two. Other than that, but keep harping back to it. Should have let Demar go a long time ago. And no disrespect to DeMar DeRozan because he still could play, but he just wasn't it. And I held on to him too long.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm looking at the draft. So you drafted Carl Anthony Towns 12th in the first round. You had the 12th pick.
Yeah, but do you believe he a first round pick though?
No, however, this who went after him. LeBron, which was you, Trey Young, Durant, Harden, Devin Booker, Bam, Evan Mobley, Zion, Sengun, Jalen Brown, Siakam, Josh Giddey. Now, it's like a few names on there I wouldn't take Cat over, but a lot of them I'm looking, like Cat might be a good scoop. He gonna get a double double.
Yeah, I just feel like you need, like you mentioned, somebody like a Kevin Durant. You need somebody like him, or
Yeah,
even like a Kawhi Leonard. I don't think you drafted Kawhi Leonard that high even, but I mean he was like one of your main players all season.
I got him in the seventh.
Yeah,
Nah, that's crazy. Everybody was scared of Kawhi though, for real.
I mean he had the injuries, but when he was out there, he was.
Yeah, he wasn't playing back to backs like recently, but he definitely played a good bit of the season though. He had the ankle injury early in the season, and then once he came back from there, he started rolling.
I think I would even took James Harden over Cat in hindsight.
Harden, you
Yeah,
would
you
have
say he
took
was
Harden
drafted
over
right
Cat.
after. Yeah, for sure.
He went in the second round, pick 16. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I probably would take Harden. Okay. Nah, yeah, I agree with that. I actually agree with that. But like, I don't know about Durant though, honestly. Fantasy wise, anyway. Fantasy wise.
He came on stronger in the season, towards the end of the season, from what I remember.
Who?
Kevin Durant,
Oh, like Mobley, Bam.
I would have took Bam over Cat.
Yeah, but you a Heat fan though. Like
But
we take the bias out. You taking Bam over Cat Fantasy? Cat get more rebounds than Bam.
he do. But Bam also give me more assists, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the offense really run through Bam. He the point guard sometimes on the court.
Yeah. All right. Mobley, Zion, Jalen Brown though, like that was
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah. Especially
Yeah.
with Tatum being out.
Yeah, with Tatum being out, yeah, Jalen Brown. Oh, that's a good one. So all right. So hold on, my bad. What was your one move you would change over your season? Oh, you wouldn't have drafted Cat. That's why we got on that whole subject.
Yeah.
All right. So for the championship, what's one move you would have changed?
I would have went harder on Saturday. I would have, went harder Saturday to club because I want to say you was up by like 40, 50 and going
Yeah,
into Saturday.
yeah. What I felt, yeah, no, I would. I was up, I think I was up like 26. And then after Saturday, I was up like 48.
Yeah. So I feel like I shouldn't have
Yeah,
trusted only three people going on Saturday.
I ain't gonna lie. Saturday made me because I looked at the moves. I had used 6 moves by Saturday, and you had only had 3.
Yeah.
So you really could have went crazy. Hey, I'm glad you didn't though.
I was trusting in Sunday and that let me down.
Yeah. All right. So look, heartbreaks, competition. You know what I'm saying? It happens that way. It's got to be a winner. But the good thing about sports is always next year. So, what's one thing that you would give to anybody who watching this, anybody who listening? What's one lesson you would tell them to take in the 2026, 2027 basketball season?
Basically, like, just an accumulation of everything we talked about. Go after guys that's going to get points, but also check that field goal percentage because that plays a role into it. You're going to have to get somebody that is willing to share the ball, get rebounds, make the 3 pointer. Other than that, focus on the draft. The draft is key. I mean, you could definitely build your team like I did through the waiver wire and acquisitions during the season. But I feel like if you have a strong draft, or you have a draft that you feel like you said, at least 9 people that you ride with the whole season, it'll make it a lot easier for you during the season.
Nah, I like that. Yeah, because the draft is important. And 9, that number might be high, or better yet, that number you might not find that number in the draft. You might not get 9 out the gate of people you're gonna hold the rest of the season. But if you come away with 6 and then find 3 along the way of the season, you probably got a good season.
And don't be afraid to go for the rookies. Everybody slept on Ace Bailey all season. I think I picked him up after the All Star break.
Yeah.
I mean, ain't nobody think Colin Knuckles was gonna be what he was gonna be. Everybody assumed, Cooper Flag. He did what he did, but at least have faith in the rookies. I would say.
Yeah. But the thing with Cooper though is he missed a lot of games. Con, Ace, they ain't really missed a lot of games. They both hooping. I mean, they all three hooping. They probably gonna give it the Cooper Flag Rookie of the Year. Who would you think?
Yeah. Oh, it's Cooper
You think?
Flag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, all
he too
bias.
balanced.
Yeah. Yeah, he nice. All bias. You know what I'm saying? I hope Coop get it. You know. But to circle back though to the lesson of going in the next season, you know what I'm saying? For me, uh don't be scared to stream. Like some players are hot during a specific point of the season. And if you can get in on that hot streak, it's probably gonna lead to you having a successful season. Don't be scared of the risk. You know what I'm saying? It sometimes it is gonna go against you, but knowing when to get out, knowing who to go scoop next, who to replace them with, you can save your season. So don't be scared to stream. That'll be the lesson that I take in the next season, especially for this basketball. Do not be scared to stream. You know what I'm saying? Understanding roles, understanding opportunity, because opportunity changing throughout the course of the season, for sure.
And just because they might be your favorite person on the court or watching them on TV, doesn't always equal to fantasy.
Mm-mm,
That's another lesson I would have to take in the
mm-mm.
next season. So you might want to get somebody from your favorite squad, but you got to think: are you going to be willing to let them go during the season when it's time to let them go?
Or are they even the best available person for you? Or you just got them because they play on your squad?
Uh,
Hey, so that brings us to the end here, though. Hey, I want to salute you. Oh, yeah, there we go. Let me salute you, making it to the championship. Like I say, you was dominant all year. You was definitely a formidable opponent. For everybody watching, you know what I'm saying? It's what it is. This is what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? Putting the work in, putting the grind in. We got two different philosophies. We ended up in the path to a championship. You know, sometimes you gotta be the best to be the best, and that's how it worked in this season. You know what I'm saying? Don't matter how you get there, as long as you execute. You already know it's numbers over narratives. You know what I'm saying? And hey, Lighty, before we get out of here, definitely want to appreciate you pulling up one more time, helping the people out, getting them ready for next season. Yeah, I appreciate you.
no problem. And once again, I gotta give you props. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I gotta at least take one shot at you. Just talking offline in November, you said I'm playing for a playoff spot, and I laughed at you because I'm like, you playing for a playoff spot in November, but you had it in your mind to where you wanted to go, and it turned out the way you wanted it to go. And I just always think back to that. Like it's never too early to plan for the championship.
Yeah, because the thing well, hey, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. Because one more lesson I'll give to y'all. Don't panic. Don't panic. It can look crazy in October and November, and you could be smooth sailing by January.
Turn the whole season around.
Turn the whole season around. Hey, so yeah,
Yeah.
do not panic. So yeah, hey, I appreciate it. Hate it had to be you, but it had to be you. Hey, if y'all like more breakdowns like this, go check out my championship episode. You know, where I have conversations like, oh, I'm having breakdowns like this about the route to a championship appearance for y'all.